homeschooling mamas. Today we're going to be talking about lesson plans. So if you're new to homeschooling and need to know how to create lesson plans, or if you just want an easier way to do it, grab a cup of coffee and join me, because we're going to be talking about creating your calendar, making your long-range plans, and doing daily lesson plans for your homeschool. Okay, the first thing I do when I plan my homeschool year is I determine what weeks we want to take off. So this is my calendar that I've made, and I usually do that pretty early in the summer, sometimes even before the previous school year is done. And I try to have that ready to go, usually by the middle of July, just to try to have it finalized by then. So what I do first is I determine which weeks we want to have off. So I go through and take those off of my calendar. So you can see that I have a key on this calendar. So the orange days are regular school days, the yellow days are regular school days where we have co-op, and then the blue days are they're school days, but they're also the end of the quarter. And then the pink days are school days with a dance camp or dance intensive. So Sophie has dance camp sometimes, and Katie has dance intensives. And Katie's dance intensives can be like all day long. And she is taking ballet for high school credits, so we do count those as school days. So generally what we do is we will start in June and we will do 3 or 4 weeks. Well, really what we'll do is we'll do about 8 weeks of school all together in June and July, and we might do 4-day weeks. But this year I wanted to take more time off. So what we're doing instead is we're going to do 10 days of school in June and July, and then we're also going to count the dance intensive, which was this week here of the 24th of June. And we also did some math that week. So we count that, and then we start back like regular school on July 22nd. Now on these days that we're doing in June and July before July 22nd, we're not doing all the subjects. So for Sophie, we're doing reading and math. Katie is doing a CLEP college algebra course, and then she'll take her CLEP test, and she's doing numerous lessons in one day. And she's also doing some history and some reading. So she's not doing every single subject that she will have. And I'll do a different video where I go over what curriculum we're using and what classes we're using for each child. Katie is in high school. She's going to be going into 10th grade, and Sophie will be a first grader. So once I determine my summer schedule and when I want to start back for the school year, then I go in and I determine what breaks we want to have. And I typically will just take weeks off. I don't take a lot of 1 day or 2 days here and there. I usually take off weeks. And this year I tried to set up in quarters. Now I normally don't do that, but I thought that would be a good way to plan out my curriculum. And I typically don't do that because in the past we have used classical conversations for both my children, but for Katie, everything was kind of planned out for us, where we just had to go ahead and do the work that had already been planned, and then she needed to have certain things ready on certain class days. But this year we have a lot more freedom in our homeschool, and so I wanted to use a quarter system where I could plan a little bit better on my own. So my quarters are between 8 and 10 weeks. It didn't work out perfectly, but that's okay. So basically what I've done is divided everything in by 4, and then I take that 1/4 of the work, and then I'm going to fit it into that quarter. And I'll show you how I do that in a minute. So we determined that we wanted to take some weeks off, so we took the week of Labor Day in September. Well, first we took this week in July. We're going to take this week, the week of the 15th, off before we start back full-time on July 22nd. And then we're going to take Labor Day week off. We're going to take this week. We usually go to the mountains in October, and so this week of the 20th, we're going to take that week off. And then the week of Thanksgiving, we're taking that week off. And then we'll do 2 weeks of school in December and take the rest of December off, starting back on January 6th. And then the first week of March, we're going to take that week off as well. And then our spring break is a kind of a strange, we're doing part of a week and part of another week, and that's just because of Katie's dance schedule. She's going to have a big production around that time, so we really need to make sure that if we do go somewhere that we are gone over her dance spring break. And then we finish, our last day of school will be on or before May 22nd. So that's how we set up our calendar. And this year I'm just going to go in and fill in the days that we do. So for instance, if we have a school day scheduled and we end up not doing school that day because somebody is sick or something happens, then we'll just take that off the schedule and we'll just count the number of days we actually did. So I'll just put like an X over that day, and then I'll put the number of days that we actually did in the box before where it says days. I do keep my girls normally on the same schedule, so if we don't do school for one, we usually don't do school for either one of them. However, if I decided to change that plan, then I could just write Sophie's days and Katie's days and track it like that. Okay, so this is my spreadsheet, and this is where I record all of my long-range plans. So this is going to be the planning for the whole year, and this is Sophie's sheet right here that we're looking at because I haven't completed Katie's yet, and Sophie's is a little bit easier to follow, not having high school courses on here. So I've pretty much completed her first quarter, but I have not chosen Bible curriculum, so you'll see that that's blank. So the first thing I do is I go in and I label across the top the different classes that she's going to have, or subjects, and then over here I label the number of weeks and then the first day of the week or the Monday of that week, and I just do that all through the year. And then if I have a week where we're not going to do school and we're going to have an off week, I go ahead and put that in just to remind myself that we're not going to need to schedule anything that week. And I just do that all the way through. When I get to the end of the quarter, then I will just total up how many lessons that we've done for everything. And so I just keep doing that all the way through. Now with this one, you're going to see that there's a lot of blanks here because I don't like to schedule Sophie too far in advance because she is a special needs child. So there are times when I'll have to repeat lessons over and over again. And so I just don't want to go to, plan the entire year and then have to redo that. So I like to just do one quarter at a time. So at the very end of the spreadsheet, what I do is I write down the total number of lessons or pages or whatever I'm trying to accomplish for that subject. And I've got this blown up to 300%. I hope you can see this a little bit better. So for example, with language arts, there's 120 lessons, and that's for the whole year. For Explode the Code, there's 95 pages. For handwriting, there's 100 pages. Math is a little bit different because she's got 25 lessons left in her kindergarten book, and then she'll have 124 lessons in first grade. So we're going to add those together, so 149 total lessons. And so that's just kind of how I do it. Science is also a little bit different because one of her units will be done only in co-op. So I really don't have to schedule anything for that. Whenever she's at co-op, she'll be a part of that lesson. Whenever on the weeks that we're not there, because we only go every other week, then we won't be doing that. We'll be doing something else. All right, so I'm going to go back up to the first quarter here and just kind of show you how I determine what we need to do. So first thing I'm going to do is look at my total my total line. All right, so this is my quarter totals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the total number of lessons for each subject or book or whatever we're dealing with here. I'm going to divide that by 4. And so for example, I need to get 30 lessons in the first quarter for language arts. I need to get 24 pages in for Explode the Code, 25 pages for handwriting, and so on and so forth. So that's how I determine what I need to do for the first quarter. And now I'm just going to go in and assign it. So I already told you on the part where I explained the calendar how I just do limited school in the summer for a few days. I'm not doing school every day. I'm only doing a couple of days a week, and I'm also not doing every subject. So I'm going to kind of skip that there because that's a little different, but just know that we did do some school there, so I'm going to kind of subtract that out when we start full-time school, which happens the week of July 22nd. So I had not started language arts, so just based on the fact that I needed to get 30 lessons in, that worked out where I needed to do about 4 lessons a week. So this week I'm going to try to do lessons 1 through 4. We needed to do 2 pages of Explode the Code because we had already done a good bit of it over the summer. And then at some point it will switch down to 1 page because all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to get the 24 pages in. I'm not worried about trying to get ahead. I'm just trying to spread it evenly over the year. And so I do that. And it works out well for me to not have everything every day anyway, because I think that's easier on your homeschool. It's easier, certainly easier for Sophie. So you'll see that math will be 4 days a week, language arts will be 4 days a week, handwriting will be 4 days a week, but then she's going to end up with science once a week or less. She'll end up with history once a week or less, and then Explode the Code will be 2 days during this quarter. It will pick up in another quarter because this quarter she had some summer days where we had already done some of that. So when we get to the daily planning, then I will be able to decide how I want to spread those out. And I'll show you that in just a few minutes. So that's really all I do is I plug this into the spreadsheet. I go in and I say, okay, so for example, with history, I'm using an Abeka, My America and My World book for 1st grade. We need to do 7 lessons to finish the book. And so I'm just spreading that out. If we have a week where we don't have anything, that's perfectly fine. I don't worry about that. I just spread it out so that we get the 7 lessons in. Science, we're not doing a unit during the 1st quarter other than what we do at co-op, and so all I have done here is just put in what lessons we're doing on the different co-op weeks, and we have some added things in with co-op like some read alouds and other things like that, so we may spend a couple of weeks on 1 lesson, and so that's why you might see some of those written twice. So, and then on the other subjects, I just simply have the lessons I'm going to try to get done that week, and that's really it. And I haven't done the 2nd quarter, but other than the science and history, but I will simply come in here and do the exact same thing. If we completed our 37 lessons of math, I will just move on. I will divide it up again. To repeat some things, that's okay. We just continue where we were. But if we're going to finish the book in the year, then that's what I need to do. I'm not super worried about that with Sophie, but this just helps me plan so that I know what I'm trying to accomplish. Whether I get it done or not with her special needs, that's okay, but this just helps me plan it out throughout the year so I don't have like really heavy weeks and then weeks where I'm doing nothing or something like that. The last part of the planning process is just to simply do your daily lesson plans. Now you can just, everything that we've done to this point, using your calendar, doing your long-range plans, you could take that and you could just use any paper planner. I use Homeschool Planet, and I'm just going to quickly show you how I would enter assignments into Homeschool Planet. So I'm going to use our language arts. We have 30 lessons that we want to do, starting with lesson 1. And so before I do that, I just need to make sure that I have a school year set up. So you go under settings, choose your school year, and you just go in here and say the first and last day and the class days, and then you go in and you take your calendar that you created and just do checks for the days that are class days and X's for the days that are not. And if you, for example, you never have school on Friday, then Friday would look like a weekend day. It would just not have anything checked. So you do your calendar first, and then that way you don't end up with things scheduled on days that you're not doing school. So once you do that, you can just go in really to any day and click it, and we just want to add a class. So I'm going to add a class. I'm going to select language arts, and it is and I'm doing the Good and the Beautiful Level K language arts. It is for Sophie. So I'm going to check Sophie. We are going to start on the 22nd, and because I'm only planning for 1 quarter, I'm going to go into the last day of her quarter, which is September 20th, and I had to check that on my calendar. All right, I do not want to track hours, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off, and the next thing I do is I go to assignments. All right, so I think I am going to do selected dates for this because I need to do 4 lessons per week on some weeks, and then starting, it looks like my last 2 weeks of my quarter, let me slide this over so you can see. So my last 2 weeks of the quarter, September 9th, September 16th, I only need to do 3 lessons. So I think it might be easier if I just go in and actually select the days that I want to do. The other thing is we have co-op every other Monday. So if I can avoid doing language arts on a co-op day, that would also be beneficial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to select what days I want to do language arts, knowing that I'm going to be doing 4 a week until the last 2 weeks, and I'll do 3 on those days. So I'm going to skip Tuesdays because Sophie has therapy on Tuesday for about 3 hours. And then we don't start co-op until the 12th. And we have it 2 weeks back to back, but normally we do not. Normally we have it every other week. So on those 2 weeks, I'm going to do Tuesday instead of Monday. Okay, then I'm going to come to September. We're off this week, so it has those grayed out so that I don't select that week. And then we don't have co-op this last week. And let's see. Now here, I only need three days. So I'm going to choose Monday, Wednesday, and I'll do Friday. And the 16th is the same thing. We need 3 days. We do have co-op there, so I'm going to do Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on that week. So now I've chosen the days that I want to do this assignment. Okay, so I want each class day to say lesson. All right, so I need to say here that I have 30 lessons. All right, and I want it to say, here I want it to say lesson instead of assignment. So now it's got me just having 1 every day, and it's only on the days that I selected. All right, so now I've added them starting on Monday the 22nd. These are the lessons that I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm going to save this. All right, now it's saved that. We can go to our calendar and we can see that it went ahead and put them on the days that I selected, and it wrote it lesson 1, lesson 2 like that. Can go all the way through here to see that they're there. We have no school on Labor Day week. Then we go down to 3 lessons per week because that's all we need to get to lesson 30. Once we complete a lesson, we'll just click it like that and it turns green to show that it's finished. And if we come to this day and we didn't do this lesson, this will show red just to indicate that we didn't do a lesson that we had scheduled. So that's all you do to enter assignments. It's really super easy to do. You could actually do your whole year at once. I'm just choosing not to do that again because with Sophie, we may find the need to repeat lessons and not move at the pace that we originally thought we could move at. So I'm choosing to do it by quarter, but you could have done your entire year very quickly by using Homeschool Planet. Thanks for watching our video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.